Hello and welcome back to Dragon Age Origins Ultimate Edition. We are going to do a little codex catch up because we got a bunch of codex from Soldier's Peak. So let's go ahead and get caught up. Summoning Sciences. Apprentices are allowed and expected to willfully direct a minor spirit, provided it is within the protective confines of the library. Placement of the shelves allow for passive immobilization, and the emergency purging of any rogue entity. Take care. This exercise is not to be enacted during maintenance or other disruption of library structure. The danger presented by an incorrect summoning, particularly Exercise 3, is extreme. This book has been torn in half. So do we have to go back to the circle and go in the library and do something? Friends of Red Jenny. The task was never promised to be easy. You said you could enter the circle tower, and you were believed. Find the small painted box in First Enchanter's office and deliver it to the door marked in Durham as agreed. Or be prepared to find yourself haunted across Ferelden. Friends of Red Jenny. There is a sketch map of several doors. It requires the box to be placed on it to block out false leads. The Journal of Enchanter Wilhelm. 13 Plutinus. The interrogation of the demon is going well, and is rather fascinating, provided that what it is saying is true. I have sent all my research so far to First Enchanter Aldrin, and while he is concerned about my safety, he does not think there is a reason to stop just yet. All I hope is that the Templars do not discover what I am doing. How will we ever find another way to deal with demonic possession if the Chantry does not let us research it? 20. Elo Vista. Young Matthis nearly wandered down here again today, and this time I forgot to leave the barrier up. I believe I will key the defenses to ignore anyone of my blood. I would rather have the boy stumble into the laboratory than have him killed by my forgetfulness. Poor lad, all he wants is to know why his father spends so much time beneath the tower. I will spend more time with him soon. I swear it. 28. Elo Vista. Shal is acting strangely. I wonder if I should discontinue my experiments upon it. I am so near a breakthrough, I am certain. Perhaps it is best if I focus on the demon. 2. Matronals. The demon almost managed to get away again. Tricky. I shall have to be more careful. Young Emmon sent a letter asking me to return to Redcliffe. I shall have to consider it soon. 11. Matronalis. Could it be? What an intriguing discovery, especially considering that the demon was attempting to keep me from it at all costs. Or did it lead me to that information by seeming to deny it from me? I must discover the truth. 19. Umbrella. I think it is time to dismiss this demon. It is too dangerous for me to continue holding it, and I cannot discount the possibility that it is having some influence over the golem. Or is it my experiments? I will try to deactivate Shal for the time being and then deal with the demon once and for all. Let it end here. There are no further entries. From the Journal of Enchanter Wilhelm. Sulzbacher? A decade-old letter. Madam, I can assure you that the Circle of Magi is not a sacrilegious institute, and that indeed we operate under the supervision of the Chantry. It would make our investigation of your husband's death much easier if you would simply cooperate with us. I am disappointed to hear that you sold the golem's activation rod. I understand both it and your husband were of invaluable aid to King Merrick during the war against Orlees. Without the rod, we cannot discern whether Wilhelm's golem was responsible for his murder. The golem will simply have to remain where it is unless the villagers can find a means to destroy it. Our condolences to you and your son for your loss. I imagine it is of little consolation to you, but your husband is much admired here and will be missed. Maker keep you. First Enchanter Arlen. Avenner's notes? The taint allows us to sense the darkspawn. The longer we survive with the taint in our blood, the more potent it becomes. Unfortunately, this corruption will eventually overwhelm the warden. Over time, it devours both mind and body, leaving nothing. But what if the spread of the corruption could be stopped or contaminated in some way? What if the warden could become more powerful without having the power kill him? How great would that be? Would it be enough to stop the demons? The joining ritual is crude. We take into ourselves the blood of the darkspawn in the most obvious way. Most die from the corruption immediately. It is, after all, poison. There must be some way to refine the joining. Isolate the true power that is found in the darkspawn blood and leave behind the evil that kills us. I can feel the corruption starting to take its toll on my blood. I must not succumb. There is too much work to be done. Through my magic, I have been able to slow the inevitable spread, but not stop it completely. I am starting to heal things, even while awake. A voice more beautiful than any other that calls to me from the depths in my dreams. I see the Black City, and I am drawn towards it. There is something there, an answer to what this taint is, this taint that we share with the Darkspawn. From the notes of Avernus. Correspondence interrupts. A collection of embarrassing personal communications between the spoiled wealthy and their object of obsession. My darling Reginald, I burn for you, and because of you, please use the enclosed tincture if our love is to endure. Sorry? A delicate matter. While I am overjoyed of the prospect of having you, an unwelcome guest requests that you excuse yourself by the posting of my estate to avoid a mark upon our reputation. M. You are filthy, a beast, such depravity I have never been forced to suffer. How words are so Latin when they leave your lips is beyond decent imagining. Madam, I love you. Sir Gold. My dearest Virginia True Royal. Regarding Bowdice Rippled, enclosed are 7 silver and my most heartfelt apologies for said Bowdice. I would blame the cold ocean spray and loss of my favorite shirt, the buckling of the stallion, or perhaps the stain of maintaining all such elements while sitting for a portrait. But I was certainly not myself. I hope you will forgive me and not take it upon yourself to find your own determined way in this world. Yours, Sir Revel Grossman. Extracurricular studies. If space is your excuse, I will surrender my quarters. If it is about money, I will hire the appropriate people. I will not graduate another student ignorant of weapons that any ditch digger can shovel into his ribs. We teach them to append ridiculous, glamorous on paraded arms. On parade arms, but they don't know simple steel. This is criminal. Enchanter Bergen. Leilana. Leilana takes care to honor the lothering cloister that took her in and keeps symbols of Andraste's blessing close to her heart. Shall. What can I say? I have a heart of stone. The golems of Osmar once made up the vanguard of the Dwarven army, holding back the tides of the darkspawn that flooded out of the deep roads. but the art of making them was lost, and many of them succumbed to weather and damage in battle. Shell has no memories, either of the time spent fighting in the deep roads or of coming to Honleth, only a few spotty and bitter recollections of its last master. Katie Jane unearthed Shell's control rod and awakened it, adding a bitter, malfunctioning golem to the menagerie of companies. Sten. He was sent with a small group of Qaanari soldiers to investigate the Blythe and report back. Outside of Lothering, they were ambushed by Darkspawn. They fought off the attack, but only Sten survived. Farmers found him dying and took him in. But when he awoke, alone and unarmed, he panicked, killing the entire family. Realizing he had sacrificed his honor, Sten waited for the villagers to come and surrendered, expecting death. Sten has an eye for paintings and appreciation that might seem out of character, but is actually an extension of Qaanari discipline. He respects an artist for careful composition, a skill that is as much about where the brushstrokes stop as to where it begins. Zoran Arena. Zurhan was the crow contracted by Loghain to assassinate Alistair and Katie Jane. One failed attempt later, however, he found himself at the mercy of his would-be victims. They showed him unexpected mercy, and in return he swore to aid the Wardens on their quest to end the Blight. Zoran shows an affinity for the finer things in life, hardly surprised for an Antivan crow. But his appreciation can be more poetic than he lets on. A simple bar of refined silver or gold, unaccompanied by a craftsman hammer, is eloquently valuable. Sophia Dryden. Addendum. King Arlen had driven the Grey Wardens from Ferelden, and after the siege of Soldier's Peak, the base was abandoned. When Soldier's Peak was finally entered again for the first time in centuries, it was discovered that Sophia Dryden had been possessed by a demon. The History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 1. The Grey Warden's base at Soldier's Peak was built in the middle of the Glory Age, several decades after the Second Blythe was ended. Before then, the Grey Wardens in Ferelden would take up residence in castles and forts that belonged to generous nobles. Warden Commander Gaspar Etrusian desired a fortified headquarters where his forces could train and live. He planned that Soldier's Peak would be a city unto itself. The defeat of the Darkspawn and the archdemon Zazakiel was fresh in the minds of the Ferelden people, and many were willing to donate gold to build Commander Etrusian's fortress. Soldier's Peak was finally completed within 10 years and dedicated to the Maker in 934 glory. From the History of the Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Javinji, Chantry Scholar. The History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 4. There was one mystery, however, that persists, and this mystery perplexed even Commander Hallwyck herself. When Commander Ostrin went to his calling in the deep roads, he did not have in his hand his sword. Ostrin's might, forged for him by Dwarven smiths and presented to him upon the completion of Soldier's Peak, nor did he pass the sword on to his successor, or to any other Grey Warden, while some maintained that Astrane had simply destroyed the sword in his dotage. Others believed he had stashed it away somewhere in Soldier's Peak. One young warden claimed that Astrachan had once grabbed him by the shoulder, fixed him with an unwary gaze, and said, "The sword will remind you what it is to be a warden. Speak your oath to me when the shadows come." You must speak the words. What this was supposed to mean was never made clear. From the History of Grey Warden in Ferelden by Brother Javinji, Chantry Scholar. So we're missing 2 and 3. Templars. Often portrayed as stoic and grim, the Order of Templars was created as the material arm of the Chantry, armed with the ability to dispel and resent magic in addition to the formidable combat talents. The Templars are uniquely qualified to act as both a foil for apostate mages who refuse to submit to the authority of the Circle, and a first line of defense against the dark powers of blood mages and abominations. While mages often resent the Templars as symbols of the Chantry's control over magic, the people of Thedas see them as saviors and holy warriors, champions of all that is good, armed with privy enough to protect the world from the ravenage of foul magic. In reality, the Chantry's militant arms looks first for skilled warriors with unshakable faith in the Maker, with the flawless moral centered as secondary concern. Templars must carry out their duty with an emotional distance, and the Order of the Templars prefers soldiers with religious favor and absolute loyalty over paragon of virtue who might question orders when it comes time to make difficult choices. The Templars' power derives from the substance lyrium, a mineral believed to be the raw element of creation. While mages would use lyrium in their arcane spells and rituals, Templars ingest the pyramidal mineral to enchant their abilities to resist and dispel magic. Lyrium use is regulated by the Chantry, but some Templars suffer from lyrium addiction, the effects of which include paranoia, obsession, and dementia. Templars knowingly submit themselves to this treatment in the service of the Order and the Maker. It is this sense of ruthless pity that most frightens mages when they draw the Templars' attention. When the Templars are sent to eliminate a possible blood mage, there is no reasoning with them, and if the Templars are prepared, the mage's magic is all but useless. Driven by their faith, the Templars are one of the most feared and respected forces in Thedas. From Patterns Within Form by Helen, first enchanter of Starkhaven, 880 Blessed. Ashwraith. Legend has it when Adrastate's ashes were taken into hiding, some of her closest disciples gave themselves to the fire, and their restless souls might remain to guard her final resting place forever. Whether they are the spirits of Adrastate's discipline or merely fade spirits, the temple that houses the sacred urn is filled with wraiths. Filled with wraiths. Created from a burnt corpse, an Ashwraith is a powerful and amorphous opponent. It's able to lash and smother while being immune to most physical attacks. Even if successfully dispersed, it can form at a later time. Magic is the only real way to fight such a creature, wind and ice attacks being the most useful. They are capable of creating small whirlwinds that are devastating to anyone unfortunate enough to get close, and their touch leaves a person drained. So, that was us catching up on the codex. I hope you guys are enjoying getting caught up. It's a lot of interesting information. I kind of want to read it as we go, but I feel like it would slow things down. But it is interesting to catch up on it, even if some of the information is no longer helpful, just to know the background. So I hope you guys are enjoying, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.